Hey everybody, how we doing today? It has been a couple weeks since I've been here, and it is going to be an exciting live today. I probably going to most likely will put the link out here in a little bit as people are rolling in. I want to read. I want to get something where I'm going to get back into that I haven't done in a while, especially with my videos. If you watched my latest video where I am doing the Lions diet for 30 days, and the reason why, if you notice that I read a Bible verse and I am going to start putting that back into it. I feel like that I hadn't done that in a while. And I feel like it was part of being disobedient to God because I feel that that's part of sharing the gospel. So I'm going to read. It was a verse that really hit me today, and I had to actually look this one up. Why is it? Why did why? What was the purpose? Why did Paul write this to the church of Corinth? And why is it speak to us today as the church, the modern day church, whatever church you go to, regardless if Redeemer Church, a Baptist church, Catholic church, whatever church you go to, I advise you to read this verse and actually look it up and what is the true meaning of it. Why is it important? And I'm going to read to you. It's Second Corinthians chapter 6, verse 1. As workers together with God, we ask you not to receive the grace of God in vain. And that one really hit me. I had to really look at that verse. I had to stop, just pay attention to Cole today, our pastor, and I had to go to Google. Why is it important that we're not supposed to do that? And we all living in a broken world. We live in a broken world. As I mentioned last week, we had a young lady, 16-year-old, and it's been floating around. It made national news. It made social media worldwide. We had a young lady, 16 years old, it was a planned kidnapping and murder. There's at least four suspects. They're looking for a fifth one. And she was beaten, and sadly she was murdered down the road from where I live in a conservation area. And I still pray for that family, still continue to pray for that family, because I have a daughter. She's 16 years old. I have a daughter that's 21 years old, and this man, her father, he's, you can tell that it doesn't seem real, and he was hoping that this is just a nightmare and he wakes up from it. But in reality, it's real. We live in a broken world, and I don't know how I would react. And you can see God through this. You can see the fruits of the spirit through this man when he is speaking on social media. And I know that it's hard, but I know that God has got this. And just like I just can return from this mission trip, God has it. And so I am beyond grateful for his love, his conviction. And sometimes I don't know why he loves me. Why is he chasing me? But that's because he has a purpose and a plan for each and one of us, and we have to draw near to him. So I want to say hi to a few people, and the first one to come in is Jerry. Jerry came in, and then Ellen. Hi, Ellen. Glad you stopped by today. And then the third one came in is Amy, and thank y'all stop by. And we have our lovely Floridan, actually is Thomas's carnivore mom, Sandy. And then we have Sharon from Steadfast come in. Hey, how you doing? And Sharon said bong. I found that's one thing about StreamYard. I discovered those about a month ago, and I'm like, oh, that's neat. You can do drums, you can do that. So I'm like, I'm gonna start using it. So I love the gong. So we go ding. So it's fun. And then we have um Jeff from KC. How are you doing? Glad you stopped by today. And then we have Isabel. Glad you came in. Jiffy's here. Good afternoon. I'm glad you're here. And let's see who else came in. Jeff says, "It is amazing. Just open the Bible when there's a problem. I have never had to read many verses and find an answer." Yeah, that's I used to read the Bible, but just this last week on this trip, uh I was reading in First Peter and I got to chapter 3. I finished First Peter, but I always had to go back to chapter 3 verse 20, and it stated in there that God waited patiently as Noah built this ark, and only 8 souls was saved. And it took 100 years for Noah to build that ark, because Noah was 500 years old when God told him to build the ark. It was 600 years when he finished it and boarded that ark, and it took 100 years. Jesus's death and resurrection has been just right around 2,000 years, and I firmly believe that he is coming back soon. And there is a reason why I'm stuck on this verse, not only for me, but to let everybody know, the gospel, and especially for me. And the thing is we can get in these slumps. We can get, just like it said, God in vain, basically taking the grace in vain, meaning you're just numb to it. And I got to that point, and it happens. Everybody happens to everybody, and we just don't understand, why you want me, God. I'm just a wretched person, and he has a purpose and a plan, and that's one thing about God is he's a loving God. He's a just God, but he's a loving God, and he loves in each and one of us, and he wants us in heaven with him. And that's why he sent his son to the cross. That's why Jesus was the perfect, blameless lamb. He was sent to the cross for us, and to so God can have fellowship with humanity again. Let's see if there's anybody else came in. Rick said, "Internet is back." Rick's there. Rick's here. Oh yes, absolutely. Make sure you hit that thumbs up button. The more thumbs up, more that YouTube will get that out to others. And I believe I like this. Sandy says, "Ellen, I am like a thumbs up freak." So well, I'm all caught up here, and I'm glad y'all are here today, and it's going to be exciting. I am looking forward to share my trip, my mission trip, and share the experience that I had on this, and show you some pictures. I have some videos. I did video clips. I didn't put the video together yet, but I'm gonna I have to edit the video and stuff, and I would love to have the worship part of this video on there. But unfortunately, because the music is copyrighted, even though they worship in Spanish, the pastor and his wife worship in Spanish, it's copyrighted, protected, and I can't do that. But I have main thing is I wanted to make sure that I share the main purpose of the house. Well, the missionary, his name is Daniel Kennedy. Great guy. I worked with him. This is probably my second or third build that I got to be on, and it was fantastic. My first build together with Daniel as the lead missionary was in 2023 in Anapra, which is in Juarez, and this is the first time that he was on his own. The year before my first build, he was an intern on one of the builds, and I wasn't on his build, but I was on the other build. And the build that he was interning on was actually a sandbag. The family had a house built of sandbags, and they were deteriorating bad. Oh, before I go on, I want to say Lance is here. I'm glad you stopped by. Thank you, Lance. It is excited to see everyone here. Excited to see, but also one of our fellow brothers in Christ. He's a young guy. Was going to college. I think he's already graduated. He graduated from Hannibal LaGrange University, used to be Hannibal LaGrange College, and he uh, he felt led to go to do this intern. I feel that this could be his calling, might be his calling. And of course, before we left the Casas compound there in El Paso, one, my good friend John Ackley, he was actually the leader to lead to get, he was in charge. He was the one that took charge to make sure everything, from our end, the funds leading us to go there. And he's like, whoa, prophesy there. I am not calling myself a prophet. It's a little joke, but he did it intern. His name is Heath Hamlin, and it was good to work with him as an intern alongside. I have done a few builds with Heath. As a matter of fact, my first build I worked together with him, and then there was another young man named Josh from Arizona was an intern, and then this was my second time with one of the missionaries. I worked with her. I think she was either an intern. I think she was either intern or I think she was an intern on my third build was in, including her name is Ellie Bartlett. Wonderful, wonderful person. And it was awesome to build alongside her as she's the CASAS intern manager. She helps trains the interns as they come in. And it was awesome to build. And we built this home in 3 days. Matter of fact, I have a picture. Let me get this off there. Here is the picture of the house finished. This is the front of the house, and it's not a very big house. It's just this. Matter of fact, probably my office is probably bigger than one of the rooms in this home, and it's a 3-room house. It's actually they're going to come back and build a bathroom. It is got 2 windows, a locking door. They're going to have a mini split. But the main purpose of this house is not to go to build a house. What it is to be the hands and feet of Jesus so that this family can witness to the community in that area and to the church that uh, this house, God presented this house to us, and it took us 2 years. I mean, there are stipulations for this house, like they have to own the land. They don't get free land. They don't get free land or anything like that. They have to own the land, and they have to apply through a pastor in the local area and the pastor has to decide, do they deserve the house? Because some people just want the house just for money. They just want a quick money, and that's not what it is for. It's to share the gospel in that home, and that home is very grateful. And like the family, let me get this plaque. This is the plaque that was presented to me right here. This plaque right here is actually put on the build site that there's a house promised. Theirs was put in December of 24. And December 24, and it's now tomorrow's June 1st, 2026. And after it's completed, we put the second to the last nail or screw in. The family puts the very last screw, saying that God's promised. And what this house is they're going to share this wonderful, wonderful, they call us gringos. Americans come down, build a home for us. We prayed to God for this, and this home came 2 years later. They have a 1-year-old. They have a young daughter as well. When they did the video, we thought she was pregnant. Well, when they applied for the home and the home was approved and they were getting a home, she was pregnant, and now their daughter is almost 1 year old. Let's see. Sandy says, I'm excited to see this. I've seen another you did when you with your daughter went along. Yeah, my daughter wanted to go, and I know back in February or March, there was a drug cartel boss got killed, and they had big conflicts. And this was like Mexico City was closer to them than Juarez, Mexico. Juarez, yeah, Juarez is not a really good spot. And matter of fact, Juarez in 2008 was one of the worst areas to be. It was the most dangerous area to be because they had a cartel war. And so that's where Casas Por Cristo decided to expand. So they went to Acuna, Mexico, and then they went to Guatemala, Honduras, and Dominican Republic. And that's where they build homes at. Let's see. Linda, hi, how you doing? Glad you stopped by today. She says it is, she's from Texas, said 96 here in Texas. I believe it's starting to warm up. I'm very grateful that first time, this is my seventh build, besides the 2 December builds. First time that I had we experienced rain, been rained on and hailed on, and the weather was very, very gorgeous. I mean, yeah, the next 2 days the sun was bright, but it wasn't hot at all. It was very mild, and I'm very grateful of that. It was, most of the time we're dealing with 95 to 100-degree weather, and you have to make sure you stay hydrated. Where you drink your water and you make sure you drink your electrolytes, because you don't even know that you're sweating, that the sweat disappears. But it was very, very, very pleasant. Smoothies here. Glad you came in. How you doing today? See if anybody else came in. Hey, Kurt's here. Glad you made it to the live. Yeah, that's one thing about it. He's got a point. Everyone here should understand how fortunate you are to be in the US of A. That is short for mansions in some place. That's one thing about it is like, you even going to Mexico and coming back through, we will, we'll never forget, we'll remember. But a lot of times you will, you don't pay attention and you're back in your lifestyle. We talk about complaining about our struggles and the prices of fuel and stuff like that. The thing is, Mexico is a third world country, and some of those houses down there, they're built out of pallets, built out of cardboard, sandbags, whatever they can get. And it is, that's one thing. You are correct. We have to understand, we are very fortunate. We have worse first world problems. They have third world country issues. And one day we could be like that here. It can be a flip of a button. And but we have to be very fortunate. We even if we have bills, we have debt, we have struggles, the prices of food and stuff, because food goes global. It depends on what part of the country. Like, yeah, it's a lot cheaper to buy. I buy the Topo Chico down there in Mexico because you can't find it here. You go to the Oxxo, which is it is a convenience store, which you're starting to see in Texas. I've seen a few in Texas, and they had Topo Chico. I and my daughter, even though, yeah, if the carnivore police is listening to me, my daughter's not carnivore. And so she wanted me to make sure bring back a Fresca and a Coca-Cola. And the one thing is, Fresca in the United States is diet soda here. Fresca in Mexico is loaded with sugar. It's like having a Squirt soda. If anybody knows about the grapefruit sugary soda called Squirt, that's what Fresca is like in Mexico. And I had it a while back before I was carnivore. I had it. I had Coca-Cola, and you can tell the difference from the Coca-Cola down there from here. You can tell the different sugars, but I didn't drink any on my trip. I had Topo Chico. I love Topo Chico, and still if I bought that same stuff here at a convenience store here in Missouri, it would have been almost $10. Down there, it was $4.80, in our dollars. So yeah, it's cheap, but also we have to be very, very fortunate. You hit it spot on there, Jeff. Sandy says she lives in an RV. I am thankful. Yeah. No matter what, I live in a manufactured home. You know, I have to evacuate. I don't have a storm shelter in my home. You don't want to be in my home when there's a tornado warning. I know that my home is actually set up for Minnesota, southern Canada, Minnesota, Wisconsin, North Dakota, South Dakota weather. It's zone 3, and there's a anchoring system that's on my home that's supposed to withstand 125-mile-an-hour winds. I don't think I'm going to be in this home when a EF2 tornado is coming through. Not taking that chance. I will go next door to my mom. Yeah, Smoothie says Coca-Cola. Yeah, they own Topo Chico. Good thing is it's comes out of Mexico, so there's different regulations down there in Mexico versus here. But one thing about it is it's still great. We can't find it here in up here in my area or in any parts of the states because they are updated. I think they're improving their plant. They also are trying to take out something. There was something that was in there. They're making sure that it's filtered out of it as well because there was a big controversy going around for a while that there was something in it. And so I know they're fixing that, but boy, it tasted so good. It's like that's my soda is Topo Chico. Here, I drink Saratoga because I can find Saratoga in the glass bottles at my local Walmart. And Jeff said, I grew up on Fresca, Squirt, Simba, LOL, showing my age. And Kurt said, I lived in Southeast Asian for years, and believe me, you people are silver spoon syndrome here. When the prices rise, realize it can be worse. Others have it worse. So be grateful for what we have. Absolutely. Amen. That right there, simple. Done. We're done with this live. Kurt just spoke on it. He's right. We have to be very we have to be very um we have to be very fortunate because just what 80 almost 90 years ago we were in a great depression as a country, and we luckily we bounced back. But thing about it is like it's going to happen again, and just like that we are our silver spoon. People gripe when the prices arise or this and that, but yet you go in other countries like Southeast Asia, Mexico, a lot of these countries, and it is, we're very spoiled. When we cross that border in Mexico, all we can do is say we're spoiled, we're spoiled, we're spoiled. Because that's all you look around. You look around, you see it, like how's these people live in this stuff? And that's the way it is. It's like they make whatever they can, afford whatever they can, and that's how they lived. And Kurt said yeah, I will actually read that and I'll email you back after my live is over with. Thank you for emailing me, Kurt. Let's see. Let's see. Amy says, I was drinking Saratoga, but can't find it anymore. I'll try while I work. Hey, Amy, that's where I found mine. And I found it, they had them in the plastic, but my local Walmart has it in glass bottles. Uh, and actually, it was cheaper than the Topo Chico. They also had the San Pellegrino, but it was only the 8 pack for glass. But yes, they do have Saratoga at Walmart. Maybe check to walmart.com and put your local Walmart in and see if they have it. And, if it's in store. That's how I just luckily came across it. And Amy asked me, "Do you feel safe there?" Well, this is the thing is, it's like, is Juarez, I felt comfortable there. We didn't have any issues. Now they tell us not to, we need to be back at the compound at by sundown, or we needed there. I'm sure there's some dangerous spots, but also here in the United States, there's places in our cities I wouldn't dare to walk through. And so, I mean, I felt safe there. It was in God's hand, and with tomorrow's not promised, if I got killed there, that means it was my time to go. But most of the time, as long as you don't interfere with the drug cartel, you don't interfere, they're not going to interfere with you. And we went to the convenience store, no problem. We had to make sure we had our missionaries there. We didn't go tour around and stuff like that. Now Cunha, we walked around downtown. We had our missionary there, but we walked around Acuna. Acuna's a little bit different, and so it wasn't bad at all. Juarez is a little bit different, but also I felt comfortable, and I know on my second build, some of them walked down to the OXXO convenience store that was just right down from where we stayed, and not one of them. So it's like, to me, it's like it's no different than walking to the worst neighborhoods in our cities. St. Louis has some bad areas, and I'm sure like New York, Washington D.C., Chicago, there are some bad areas and can be just as bad. Sadly, is we had a murder you would never expect in a small town USA like Moberly, Missouri, Randolph County, Missouri, very rural, very redneck, very country. You would never expect it to have a murder, a conspiracy planned. It was planned, and you never would have expected that. Yeah, you can get the flavor Topo Chicos in your local stores. It's just the sparkly ones in the glass you cannot find. Amy says, I prefer glass bottles. Yeah, my Saratoga that I find, Amy, is in glass bottles. Oh, I'm already caught up. So I'm gonna share some pictures. Uh here's I shared this one. Well, hold on. I'm still new to this. Here we go. There we go. Well, that's the house. And then let me I'm gonna scroll down, try to find one where, yeah, here we go. Here's the here is the pad. Um, this is right after they got done. We were waiting for the concrete. This was the foundation, and the like you say, when we started there, this is day one, and we started with nothing. We got the pad done. We were working actually on the walls. Actually, matter of fact, we were waiting for the concrete truck on this one. Oh yeah, here's someone took a picture of this. Our dustinators, they have a lot of these. Matter of fact, we had two of them come right through our build site. These the dust devils or the windnators. I call them dustnators. This is one half of our crew from that's in there in one of the vans. That somebody has it set up. I wonder if I can. I can't be able to switch it, but this was working on the pad right there, and you can tell that we were getting it ready. Right before the concrete truck. We was like 20 minutes out. Here's the crew. We were waiting. We had everything done. We were waiting for the concrete truck. So we decided to get into the right into the build or into the area. So we took a group picture here. So this is everybody, including the two interns, the two missionaries, and then our crew from Moberly. We had three different churches. I believe it's three or four different churches as part of this. The biggest one is Redeemer. Then we had Moberly First Baptist. I think we had some from Salisbury, and I think there was one more church somewhere. You want to talk about dedication. You had to make sure that pad is level. So this is the skirting or the deal that they flatten the concrete, make sure the concrete levels out. These ladies here had boards and we had rock, and they were taking 2x4s and they're taking their hammers and they were making sure that there was a 4 inches underneath that, because it has to be a 4 inches thick. And that right there is work and dedication. They were smoothing it out and everything, and that right there is that is work. I mean, it is work. Here's they were painting the trim boards. um Her name is Jennifer Burris, and she's the one 2 years ago. We used to just you just painted the trim for the doors and the windows with a lime green or some kind of green Casas paint they call it. But she decided on one of the bills to paint all the trim matching, including the trim above, and it turns out great. This is their we're constructing. This is about we're about finished with the walls here. We construct the walls on day one as well after it was cut. They're actually moving the walls in place to actually get them ready to be set tomorrow or for the following day. The concrete truck came finally. Let's see. Yep, still building some walls, pouring the concrete. And actually, this is right before it rained. There's that that big metal plate they use to level the concrete out as they're pouring it. That's some work right there. Concrete work. Concrete is some work. And then it started raining. Well, it just got done raining. Started raining, so we had to kind of cover the concrete up while it's raining, where everybody's underneath the tent. Few people's trying to get stuff. We're trying to get everything together, and it just started raining. That's when we realized that it was starting to hail at the same time. But that a came back. A few came back at afternoon and actually got the pad looking pretty good. This is day 2, and they're actually starting to actually no, this is they're moving the wall. That's day 1. They're moving that wall over. Let's see, let's find some day 2 stuff. Oh yes. I would not eat this, but they tried to get me to eat this soup here, and I asked, "What is in it?" And they said, "Well, it's got hominy." And I'm like, "Nope, I won't eat it." And I said, "What else does it have in it?" And they said, "Well, it's got hog intestine." I'm like, "Nope, will not eat it." I'm sorry, I don't eat chitlins. That's what they call hog intestines here in the States. I will not eat stuff like that unless I'm really hungry and starving. I'm not going to eat. What is this? Oh yeah, that's they're putting the walls, stacking the walls. All right, here we go. Here's day 2. We are actually putting the walls. We're actually putting the walls on the pad, on the foundation, and of course, me having the bad hip, you can see I'm right there. I'm getting ready to become the anchor to hold the wall in, and so that was the first wall was set. Now we're getting the second wall is set right here, and we're getting it leveled, and we're getting it lined up and everything. So you know a pretty important job right there. We're actually getting ready to install the window as well. There's the center wall, and if you can tell, we got quite a few walls already. It don't take long to stand them walls up when you have a group. And here's a picture. Walls are up. They're putting blackboard, and we're putting the rafters on. Windows are well, the windows are already installed. The blackboards are being hung on that. You can see a lot of the blackboard is about done. We were probably taking a break. I had to sit back. I had to sit back for a little bit. And actually, this little wall right here, and this is what made me feel better after I had a message from my tech. And I was starting to worry and was like, man, I shouldn't have been on this trip. I should have been home. Everything is not going well. But, when I saw the hands of God, the hands and feet of Jesus working in there, everything just melted away. And then there was a family that some of these people that's on this build, they actually was there on the very first build. They come and they brought tamales. And I picked through mine. I love tamales, but I went ahead, I wanted to pick through the meat and stuff like that. And so I had a little bit of it, but most of it was the meat, but it was good. As the roof was being put on, we were finishing up the insulation. I haven't even got the ceiling, but we were putting the insulation for the walls in. I think at that time I had to step out because of the insulation was choking me up. But this is how quick it goes. Day two is the biggest push, and we got they got the and here's a picture right here of the home where they were actually stretching the chicken wire. They were putting the drip edge on so they can put the metal up there. One of our young men, he's stapling the insulation above the door. Here was the backside of the house after the chicken wire was installed. And you can see this door right here is actually a bathroom. They're actually going to come back. And we were very fortunate. We had $3,000 left from raising funds that we asked them if the family wanted a bathroom or mini split, and they asked for it. And believe it or not, even though it's 120, mini split only costs $550 for them. I mean, it's not a big mini split, but it was pretty fairly cheap. Here's day three on the outside. They were putting stucco on, and stucco in Mexico is way different than stucco here in the United States. I don't know if it's different in parts of the country, but like it's pretty much some kind of cement, sand, some kind of powder, white powder, and water. That's what the grout was. There's Jennifer mixing the grout. She was our stucco mixer because she loved to do that. And at the same time, they were doing the sheetrock, finishing up the sheetrock on day three, putting the walls on. His name is John. He's actually showing this is the intern Josh. He's showing Josh about wiring, which he's an electrician. He's an industrial electrician for machines, so he's very knowledgeable. Great, great man. And here is the house. Everything was finished. They're cleaning up, doing the final stuff in it. I have to be careful. I love to do this one, but that's a that is actual video, and I don't want to get copyright strike. And then this day three, the family fed us. This is beef, and they made us some kind of, well, it's tacos. I just ate the meat, but right there, that looks yummy. But unfortunately, this is when I found out that in Mexico they do use seed oils. But the good thing is like, I'm very grateful because the family didn't have to do that. They did that out of their hospitality. Oh, here we go. Here's a picture of the local pastor they work with, his wife. She really, even though it was in Spanish, she sung really good. She can play a guitar. And this is the family that we built the home for. This is their dedication, and um it's grateful to see every time you dedicate a home to a family, and especially what the purpose is. It is beyond grateful. Like last year we went to a church service at a church, and matter of fact, it was the family we built the home for. They were there, and I got to run into them and got to actually to meet him again. It was very grateful. And then we had a, final photo. Unfortunately, I didn't realize that I was hiding behind John. It looked like I was on his back there. And it was really awesome that even the family, you seen the family, they were doing stucco. There's the mother and her daughter, they were doing the stucco, and it was really awesome to sit back and watch them. And then here's the picture of some of the people. This his name is Blake, and then the Woods. This is Woods family. Her name is Lisa. Um, that's Wes. Their son Parker. Their son Braden. Their son Noah. Long story short, we didn't realize that we were related, and Wes's Wes's dad and is my mom's nephew, and his grandma is actually my aunt, my mom's sister, and that's how we were related. It and the funny thing, someone was talking about that. How do you are y'all related? It's like it's a short story, a long story, and even Blake here, Blake Bodine, his name is Blake Bodine. He is actually related to them. Matter of fact, Wes here is his uncle, and his mom is actually the niece of Wes, and he was kind of like, "What?" He was really shocked that we were related, and it's really neat because it is a small world. You don't realize how much you're related to somebody, and you're working together on a mission trip. And then we that evening we went to um and then, of course, when it's done, there's the finished home, the front of it after it's though done, and you see that little white plaque, meaning that's the promise. And then that evening, where was it? We went to church that evening, even though it was a Spanish church, a Mexican church, but it was really awesome, and I felt that the spirit of God was in that church. And there's the his name is Levi, and he was putting the second to the last screw into that little plaque. And if I can find it, oh, here it is, right next to it. Here's the father of the family. He's putting the last screw, say that it is finished, just like Jesus said on the cross, it is finished when he took his last breath. So it is very, very, very awesome. And I'm just beyond grateful to be part of this. And it's not the purpose of going to build a home. It is excited what it is. It's the purpose of bringing grace to that home and sharing grace in the home and sharing the gospel. That's what that home is. The home is just a tool. The home be pass away, but the words of Jesus and the word of God will never pass away. Let's see. Did any more people come in? John says, Kelly, I will cheat real bad on tomorrow. It's authentic. I had a little bit of it, but most of the time I pick through them. But yeah, I will cheat. And that's one good thing about the carnivore diet is, being on it this long and just trying something a little bit different. like tamales. Like I will not eat any grains. I will not eat bread stuff. But being on this trip, having a tamale, it didn't bother me. It didn't make me fall back. I went right back onto it. And that's the beautiful thing about this diet. And I don't even call it a diet, it's a lifestyle journey. And it's it's really awesome that when you show that hospitality, that is just that's one thing is really, really, really awesome. Oh, Miss Laugh a Lot. Carnivore ramen sounds fun, Amy. Well, welcome. I'm glad you stopped by today. See if anybody else is new here to say hi to. Kurt says, intestines. No, 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 I can't. I'm sorry. My mom told me a story about a black gentleman. He was really nice guy from the area. I think he worked for the county motor grader. He graded the roads that area, but he always went down. It was always when it's time to butcher the hogs and stuff. He butchered hogs. He always went down to my to the family farm, because he knew when his wife was making chitlins, he's like, I ain't being around that. I hate that stuff. It's disgusting. It's nasty. I will not eat it. Anybody else? Come on. Oh, here we go. Terry B came. Hi, driving right now, but listening. Well, thanks for listening. Thanks for stopping by. And then Smoothie says, thanks, Kelly, for doing something for others. It's an honor. And this is, when you have that, I have the skill sets, I have all that, those type of talents and know how what to do. It would have been nice if we can do this in the United States to help, but fortunately in the United States, we have to actually the rules and regulations and stuff like that. So it's a lot harder to do. But plus, also in Mexico, those people are more grateful than some people here in the United States. And Kurt says, great work, Kelly. Thanks for the sharing. Well, you're welcome. I'm glad to share, because the thing is the purpose of this is not for me saying that we built this home. The purpose of it is to share what God did. Could we do this? Could I build this home in 3 days like this? Absolutely not. No way. If I didn't have God behind it, I guarantee it would be griping about this whole time. And it's hot, or man, this is too much work. We'll never get this done. But when you have the hands and feet of Jesus, it's different. Well, hi, Linda. How you doing? Said glad you're back. I am glad I'm back. I'm glad I'm back home. Do I miss it? Absolutely. It's one of those trips I really enjoy every year. I take passion on it. All right. Well, we're towards the caught up with the end. Um, One of the things as I did have a video out there today. It's called it's about me doing the lion diet, and here's why not. And here's why I'm doing it is because I started this carnivore diet. It'll be 2 years. July 26th will be 2 years. And I did great. I did carnivore. I did dairy. I did carnivore, and I did dairy and all that stuff. And I lost probably over 70 pounds. And I was getting down to I got down to like 270. And I did a 3 day, they call it a fat fast, but I call it the fat challenge, because fasting means you're not eating at all. And so I did that and I got down to 267, 266. But when I went back to eating meat, my weight just went right back up. But I've been stalled for a while. And when it came into the fall, winter, I actually gained some weight. I gained where I got up to 280. I was fluctuating between 285 to 289, and I could never shake it off. And so I decided after this trip, I noticed in that I had a slight headache, and that headache, I knew that it was probably a reflection on maybe some seed oils or something that I ate that I shouldn't have. There was a little inflammation, plus being cramped in that with a bad hip, being cramped in that van for sitting for you go 2 to 3 hours, take a break. I was stiff. I actually end up taking ibuprofen at our first stop after we passed El Paso. I had a slight headache just to shake it off. After that, I was good. Um, so and then being on this trip, if I was traveling by myself, I would be in my normal routine. I wouldn't eat. But when you're traveling with the people, and especially when you are the lone wolf on the carnivore, on this carnivore journey, and you are the lone wolf, you stop, people gets this and that, you tend to want to snack unless you are a well-disciplined person. For me, it was just kind of like, okay, so I get pork rinds, I get this. Um, and I end up eating. I normally eat 2 meals a day. I end up eating 3 meals a day, even when I was, except for the very last day, the day we're coming home. I ate when we stopped at Bucky's in Springfield, Missouri. I ate brisket and sliced brisket and some cheese. And I didn't eat until probably 5 o'clock, 5 or 6 o'clock. Matter of fact, when I was making that video, it was around 5 o'clock. I was cooking brisket burgers as I was recording that video, and I ate. And that's the only time. So it wasn't quick. So yesterday I got on the scales and I weighed 289. I was figured I was going to be close to 300. I figured, oh, I'm going to gain a lot more weight. But I was surprised that I was 289. And this happened to me when I went from keto to carnivore in 2024. Also, weight started dropping. It did that again. Granted, it's probably water weight, but I noticed in that I had a huge weight drop. It wasn't just a little weight drop, it was a huge weight drop. And so I'm like, awesome. So I decided I'm doing this Lions diet. I got to do it affordable way, but just like Kurt's he I tried brisket burger, and so I am going to find me a meat grinder. I actually have an attachment. I can get an attachment. I have a KitchenAid mixer where you can have an attachment for a meat grinder. I'm actually going to buy some brisket, and I'm going to grind it myself, because a lot of times buy in bulk, and then ground beef, if you buy, I can get brisket, brisket, you can buy in bulk and buy it cheaper. I'm gonna just grind it up myself, because it's not much more than I paid for a 10-pound tube of ground beef at the store yesterday. It was $49. I could have probably went to another grocery store for about 70, $80. I could have got brisket. And if I had a meat grinder, grind it up. So man, those are really good. They were really tasty. So I'm definitely going to try brisket burgers again. I'm gonna get me a meat, attachment to that, or find a hand meat grinder if I can find one. Excuse me. And I'm gonna do it again. It is awesome. So I am, that's one thing is I as I was mentioned that video, I needed to do a major reset. So I decided I'm going to try this Lions diet. And like I said on Jerry's live, I don't know why they call it the Lion diet, because lions, I know their primary animals they try to go for is ruminant animals, especially the young ones. But I have seen them where they eat zebra and non-ruminant animals. I've seen them where they eat birds. I've seen them where they try. I don't think they tried for a prehistoric dinosaur puppy, aka alligator or crocodile, but they could have. But I I feel that that you know I did the best on beef. When I started, I did beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, and my primary diet was mostly beef through a while. And so for the next 30 days, I'm going to do nothing but the ruminant animals, and stay away from dairy. I may, after 30 days, I might introduce least heavy whipping cream, a splash of it in my coffee, and I may not. I may try to go down, set my coffee down from 2 cups to 1 cup, and see how that goes. But one thing about it is like I'm doing it with a little bit of spices, and I got the salter. I ordered them to try the Oregon Blend salter salts, and I'm one of those that's like it's totally up to you. But if you're interested in salter, SALTR, and if you're interested in trying it, try out the product. I'm not forcing you because it can be pretty pricey because it is a new product. I do have a discount code KMC if you want and get 10% off. But it is totally up to you if you want to use it. It is linked in my video, some of my videos. So if you want to try it, there you go. But I use Salter, but I also use Redmond still. I use Himalayan pink salt. I love Malden sea salt. I'm going to try the Malden smoke salt, and then I have to order it. I can't find it locally. I might find it in Columbia, Missouri at one of the stores, but I'm going to try the Diamond Kosher salt too. And that one's actually fairly affordable as well. So, I'm going to do a video on salts that I use. And so those are the salts. And then Kurt says, Kelly, lions eat intestines. Hey, I know they eat everything. Oh yeah. Rawr. Rawr. Smoothie asks, isn't there rumors of Bucky's in Indiana? I'm sure there's probably a Bucky's somewhere. I know there's a Bucky's, I think, in Ohio. And then a KitchenAid attachments won't. That's a good one. Thanks for sharing it, because then I'll just get a regular meat grinder. And then Amy said, John, they are supposed to be building one in Indy. I'll tell you one thing is it's like it's an adventure when you go into Bucky's. It's like going into Walmart. I am actually claustrophobic. I hate, I can go to church. Someone asked me, well, you go to church, why you don't like going into Bucky's? Well, it's like going into Walmart when it's very busy. I hate going in there. I go in there and get what I want. The good thing about Bucky's, if anybody has been there, is their bathrooms. They have the cleanest private bathrooms. You can eat there as a carnivore. They have brisket, they have pulled pork. You just have to ask for no barbecue sauce. They do have options as carnivores there. They have sparkling water, stuff like that. But other than that, just like Rick says, most of it is duck food. Yeah, said Kurt says it burns up the motor. Well, if it's gonna do that, I don't want to burn up my KitchenAid mixer because I use that a lot. So I'll just look for a meat grinder, or get me one of them hand meat grinders. Kurt says it's better to pick up a standalone. Absolutely, yeah, I will do that. If it will put strain on it, I will not do that because I don't want to break my KitchenAid mixer. Those things are not cheap. Smoothie says, aren't zebras and horses ruminant? No, they do not. They do not chew cud. They are herbivores, but they do not chew cud. They are monogastric uh stomach or single stomach chamber animals. They do not chew the cud. Ruminant animal chews their cud, where they have multi-chamber stomachs, because what they do is they eat that, and then what they do is they regurgitate it, and they will regurgitate it up, throw it back up in their mouth, and they will chew it. That's what they call chewing the cud. If you watch goats, sheep, rabbits are ruminant, even though rabbits don't have hooves, they are a ruminant animal. Sheep, goats, bison, deer, antelope. Um, I think giraffes are ruminant animals. Most ruminant animals are actually they're split hoof. That's a ruminant animal. If you see an animal with, except for a rabbit, most ruminant animals have the single split hoof. Now hogs, they have a split hoof, but they're not ruminant animals. Or as if you read the Old Testament in the Bible, they ruminant animals are declared clean. Kurt says my grinder is a half horse motor, and it gets hot after 16 pounds of brisket. Yeah, I probably will probably look into the standalone instead of that attachment. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention this. Jerry says, "Let me take a brief moment out of the sun to congratulate me on reaching. I am now fully monetized. My channel is fully monetized. I was partially monetized where you can do memberships and super chats and stuff like that. But now I am finally reached, as of last week or 2 weeks ago, I've actually reached my full monetization. And so, and the one thing I didn't set my membership really high. And it's totally up to you, because it's, does it help? Every little bit helps. I'm not looking to get rich on YouTube, but the supplemental costs and stuff, it does help. And so if you want to send out a super chat, you can do that. If you want to send, membership, I set my membership for like $1.99. I didn't set it that high because, with prices are high and stuff, you know, I'm not looking forward to this. And I figure, okay, $1.99 would be very affordable. Everybody can afford that. So if you want to become a member of my channel, go for it. I I have membership. I can do the super chats, the super sticker, stuff like that. So feel free to do whatever you want. I do have a buy me a coffee, and I believe if you hit that QR code above, that shows me buy me a coffee. I do have that as well. All I'm doing is, this YouTube. I'm not looking forward to become famous and becoming rich. I'm never going to be rich off of YouTube, but with the software, the programs, stuff like that, the copyright, paying for the copyright music that you get to use and stuff like that, it does add up. And so I want to be grateful for that. Thank you, Jerry, for that kind gesture. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you so much for gifting 10 memberships out there. It is very grateful. Thank you so much. Lamb. I will never tried lamb. I want to try some lamb. Amy says, yes, correctly. Any suggestions to hit 1,000 K followers? That's a good question. I mean, I when I when I did mine, I did the paid promotion. Don't do that. I mean, that's how I got it, how I got over 1,000 subscribers. But I just let the roll, and because I needed the watch hours is what I needed, and I made to the first part of it, and then this winter, when really my subscribers really went up and the watch hours went up, when I posted the video of the cooking video of the chicken bacon ranch, my only video that really went viral. And I think it just depends on YouTube, the mood of the algorithm. If they shadow ban you or they push it out, and sometimes they'll push your video out into suggested videos where it's not even related to carnivore. And I know there's so many channels out there with carnivore, we ain't gonna be able to watch everybody's videos, but every chance we can get, I don't watch every bit of Homestead How, I don't watch every bit of Rick's. um I don't watch every here and there because it's so hard. There's so many. Even Mitch, I don't watch a lot of his videos because there's so many. When it pops up, I see it, I watch it. But I also watch other stuff on YouTube, especially like I like scenery, I like the highways ones, I like the old cars. There's a husband and wife in a southeast Missouri, in the Ozarks of southeast Missouri, little town called Donovan. They started a YouTube channel. All they do, that's their job. They're a husband and wife that takes and do resto mods. They take old Dodges, mid 90s Dodges that are rusted, the cab, bed, all that's rusted, but it has a good engine, good 12 valve Cummins, good transmission, the frame is good. And what they do is they'll go and find old C60 mid 60 C60 cabs. I've seen them where they did a 50s cab, put it on a Dodge frame. I really enjoy watching them. So I watch a variety, just not only just the carnivore stuff, I also watch, but my biggest thing I like to watch is these lives. And yeah, that's the good question. I just don't know how. I mean, I'm just fortunate I got there, and eventually we'll get, you'll get there. And so it's just like, I don't know. When we started our YouTube channels, Amy, if I started this YouTube channel, if I started Carnivore or Keto Carnivore and I started this channel like 6 years ago, I'd probably have a lot more subscribers, but I don't know. The times are changing, and I don't know that how we do it. The best thing to do is not to give up. There was times that I wanted to give up, and as I go, I'm thinking about, because I got this second channel, and I'm thinking about integrating, because it's so hard to do two channels. So I'm thinking about integrating, because after I have this hip surgery and after I recover and I get bills paid, I really want to get this homestead started. I really want to get the fences built. And so I'm thinking about combining both channels together and just having those videos on this channel and just continue to let this one grow. I still have my cooking videos. I still share my journey and share the journey as building this homestead and this small farm up. Rick came in, and then Rick says, my meat grinder was a crank. I think I should have bought it at Goodwill. There was a hand meat grinder. It was a small one, but it was a hand meat grinder. I should have picked it up at Goodwill. It was an older one. Yes, Kurt is very generous. Thank you, Kurt. Uh, he bought 10 gifted 10 memberships, and that is so grateful, because that is, it does, every little penny helps, especially when you are doing this YouTube and you're trying, especially with software. This software is not cheap. Using the programs, StreamYard is not cheap. Even though it's cost a year, don't have to worry about paying it monthly. And then I use a Epic Sound for my music, and with two channels, I have a two channel. It's not cheap. It's but it helps. Every little bit helps. Leslie Ann Carnivore, the Carnivore here. Well, welcome to the channel. Welcome to the live. Thank you for stopping by today. Glad you stopped by. Yeah, and Jerry said, "Excellent, Kurt. Thank you very much for that. Was a very generous towards Kelly and most appreciated. P.S. Thank you for mine too. Yes, very appreciated." Leslie says, "I tried the video thing. No, it too time consuming. Yes, it does take your time. That's one thing is like I try to do that on the weekend." And Leslie says, "I am in Missouri as well." That's awesome. What part of Missouri are you from? I live just north of Columbia, Missouri, Moberly, Missouri area, Randolph County, Missouri. I'm about 2 hours from St. Louis, 2 hours from Kansas City. Where do that's awesome. Because we have other carnivore people here in Missouri. We have Juliet Edens from Springfield. We have, I believe, you see him quite a bit on Kiltz's lives. He's from Kansas City. We have Ivy from Southeast Missouri, around Poplar Bluff area. We have Jesus and Carnivore Becky, and then just over in Illinois, I think right off the river in Illinois, we have we have Laura Russell, and then to the west we have, her name is Helix. She had a channel. She's from Olathe, and I'm glad you stopped by today. Absolutely, Amy has a good point here. Most of us aren't trying to make money. You can't make money doing this. Most of us are trying to cover the cost of the software. StreamYard is over 400 a year. Yeah, that's where I am. Is like my majority of my bills come from my job, my career. I'm not giving up my career for being YouTube fully. I'm primarily here to make, share my journey, but just a little bit, the cost of the being monetized, it just helps the supplemental cost of the software. And it does cost. It cost me over $400 just to have the stream yard. Amy says, I lose I lose money if I don't make 250 a month. That's what my software costs. I am nowhere near making what we do this for the love of the community, not the dollars, but every penny helps us keeping it going. Yeah, that's the part of it. Is I agree with Amy 100%. I'm not here to get rich. I'm not here to say I want your money. Because it's your choice if you want to do that. But just 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 helping the cost of the software so we can, we can continue to do this is what helps. If the software was free, we can be able to do this for free. Absolutely. I wouldn't even, I don't even ask for a penny. It's a free will, love will offering, just like in the churches. It's a love will offering, and that's all that's what it is. I'm not forcing nobody to become a member or super chat, but if you're interested in it or interested in doing it's right there. Yes, Kurt is awesome. I agree with Amy. I'm looking forward to Keto Palooza this year because I get to meet Amy in person. I met Jerry in person last year at the Montello meetup for Healing Humanity, and I'm looking forward to meeting Amy. And I believe, if I'm correct, Amy, is Dustin coming Keto Simple, and I'm thinking that there's some other ones from the Healing Humanity crew is going to be there, like Ashley. I think the Carnivore the Carnivore brothers to represent Healing Humanity here at Keto Palooza, and I'm looking forward to meeting Dr. Barry. I'm looking forward to meeting some of the other speakers are there because and this is where I am going to be. I'm going to be within 5 or 6 weeks of my recovery of my hip. I'm looking forward to be there. I'm looking forward to being around my friends that I made in this community, and that's one thing I'm hoping someday that we can meet at a meetup sometime there. And then Bride's Bix has come in. Welcome, glad you stopped by. Kurt, let's see. Kurt says, I'll probably meet you when I visit Mishawaka. I hope I pronounced that right. Amy says, yay, Kurt. And she says, let me know when you come. I'll organize a meetup. If I could be able to do that, I might come up to that. And then Leslie Ann says, you're welcome. I love that you're in Missouri. Well, thank you. I'm glad that there's other people in Missouri. And Kurt says, only get Rick there. I'll definitely do it. Well, if you get Rick in Mishawaka, Indiana, Amy, I'm coming. I don't care. I'll take unpaid from work just to go to meet Rick because I'm looking forward to meeting our duck man from Florida. I'll travel to Florida someday to meet Rick. Oh, that's awesome. I'm not too far from there. I just came through there the other day on the mission trip, Jeff City. That's awesome. We'll definitely have to get a meetup in Missouri. And now since we have more people in Missouri now. So definitely have to do that. And as she says, we need to have a meetup. Absolutely. I know it there's she's got a YouTube channel. Her name is Juliet Edens. I met her in person actually back in April. Very sweet lady. She has a channel. She had two channels, but I think she's focused on the channel because she's specifying for people that women over 40, over 40, and she has a channel, and she's also a coach. She's also a Kilts health coach, I believe. If I'm not mistaken, Amy, is she also a PHC coach, proper human PhD, proper human diet coach, like you are, like you and Angela is? I hope I'm correct, but yeah, she's from Springfield, but you definitely have to get that. That's awesome. And then I remember Amy interviewing someone that was from Columbia, Missouri. that was that's carnivore. So we definitely have to do a meetup. Absolutely. And Smoothie says, I wish Juliet would untie and let Doug up from the basement so they could get along for an hour. Miss their life. I miss their lives too. I don't know if they're ever going to come back to it, but I'm hoping that we see him back. Amy says the same thing. I miss their lives too. I know that I wonder how their daughter's doing because I know their daughter had a health scare there. And then Jerry says Terry List Leist lives in Missouri. Well, that's awesome. And then of course Kurt says, "See Kelly, hand crate grinders will break you." I'm definitely gonna have to get me. I'm definitely have to get that. And then here's Cheryl. Well, welcome stopping by today. I was born in KC, but grew up between Harrisonville and Pleasant Hill, but now living in southern Wisconsin. Well, I'm glad you stopped by today. Welcome to the live. And Amy says, yes, Dustin will be there. That's awesome. And then also, Amy says that Barbara's going to be there. That's awesome too. So we're going to have quite a few there in our community. This will be awesome. This is going to be an awesome meetup. And one thing I know, I think what Rick Twinbrook Acres is also going to be there as well, if I believe. Because I remember I bought my ticket when I heard about Keto Palooza back in January, either December or January, and I bought my ticket, and then I actually got a hotel room. I couldn't be able to use the discount code there through my package because it was already been used because it's already been booked up. But I did get a hotel room with the same rate through my Snappy gift through work. So I got my hotel room, everything. So I am so ready, looking forward to October. I'm not looking forward to the surgery of this hip, but I am looking forward to being having my full mobility back and where I can be able to function better because it's hard to function on a bad hip. And I am looking forward to get through this. Nobody's looking forward to surgery, but I'm looking forward to getting this done and be back to normal. I'm actually and I have a good. I'm hoping that I don't come out with a leg discrepancy, but if it end up being a leg discrepancy, I'm hoping our local shoe repair shop doesn't close down. I hope it gets sold and continues to stay open because I can actually, because I need a new pair of work boots, and if I have to have, if I do have to have a lift, I'll have them lift my shoe, add extra to my shoe and stuff like that. But I enjoy going outside barefoot and stuff like that. And I'm hoping I don't have that because the discrepancy, because otherwise I have to walk shoes because otherwise I'll end up wearing that hip out. And I do not want to wear out my new hip. I know that. And Leslie Ann asks, where is Keto Palooza? Keto Palooza Keto Palooza is going to be held in Louisville, Kentucky in October. As aim oh, he says need to confirm. Let me do that real quick here on my. I just sent it, Kurt. Yes, I got it, and I got it. I got it, and I sent that to confirm that it was me. So I did check it, and I sent you an email back, confirmed that it is me, with your first name. Yes, that's one thing is I'll probably start thinking about that while I'm off work recovering. I'll definitely going to start planning it because back in Easter, as I was greeting in front of because our church meet at a 4th Street at a theater in Moberly. We have a church property. We don't have a sanctuary. We have a building, but we need to build a sanctuary so we can be able to have that. We can have we can't be able to have church there because it's unless it's outside and when the weather's nice. But my goal is our goal is probably within the future we will have a sanctuary built when we have the funds, and it's not going to be no lavish church because to me, if you put the emphasis on the building instead of the church is the people, then the church is in the wrong. To me, it's not about the building, it's about the people. You invest in the people, invest in the lost souls. That's the purpose of the church. And even when COVID, we couldn't meet. Guess what we did? We met. We had church. After a month later, there was shirts made that the church left the building. I mean, we had church outside. We did everything by the code, 6 foot apart, everything when we did it outside. And it was wonderful until we got to be able to go back inside the building. So, like 2 months from May 2020 to June of 2020, we were outside having church. Amy says, I will come to Missouri. Absolutely. More the merrier. And Leslie says, OMG, that is incredible. That's the one thing I want to work on is to get that. And as I was thinking about that, because I got off subject, Easter. I get off subject really easy. Easter, I was greeting, and Moberly, we have what they call the 4th Street Theater. That's where we meet. We have a municipal auditorium. We actually have what they call the lodge, and we have a pavilion right next to it at the park. And I'm thinking like we could have a great meetup here, and I can actually talk. I know people that if I can get the funds, maybe do something affordable, like you have pork or do something, where we can do, so many tickets, where the tickets and stuff covers the cost and covers the cost of the rental, see how much it costs and stuff like that. And then the cost comes back to cover that. I know someone up the road. He's a great, he has his own recording. He does a lot of recording. He does a lot of sound, and he really good at barbecuing. And I can actually talk to him as like, we can do it this way, we can do different rubs or whatever it is to make it fairly clean. I know he will do it. I know someone else would do it, or we could do pulled pork and stuff like that, or brisket, stuff like that, where it's good. And all I have to do explain we need to make it clean as possible. I know sometimes when they do pulled pork, you see them pour apple juice in it. I'll make sure I don't need this, that. We can have a great meetup in the summertime here in Missouri. That would be awesome. And now, since we got more people in Missouri, realize, and there's people in my area. I have a few people in my county that are carnivore, and that's how I found out. When I shared my journey on Facebook, that there was two others. Amy says, yes, Juliet has the PhD certification. That's what I thought. And then Amy says, I want to do a cabin camping meetup at a Potato Creek State Park. Yes, ironically, it's called Potato, LOL. That would be awesome. I would come to that. I would come clear to Indiana. Indiana ain't ain't but 5 or 6. It depends on where it is. Indianapolis wasn't only like 5 or 6 hours from my home, and I definitely would come there. And I have to show this. Rick says PhD is BS. I can understand where he's coming from. And then Amy says, Jerry and I are rooming together. I'm sure we will need a bail money. uh I can have the getaway car. I'm excited too. I think Jerry is going to drive to my house to stay the night, and we're going to ride together from my house. Oh yeah, that'd be awesome. And I believe you all are staying in the same place I am, the Hilton. I almost said Embassy Suites, but I think it's the Hilton where most everybody is probably staying, where they had the discount code. That's where I got it. And Thomas showed up. Hey Thomas, how you doing? And then Sandy asks, Hi Thomas, are you home? Thomas says, Hi Sandy, not yet, on my way. Smoothie says, Jim Green boots are decent. They even make bare feet work boots. Kurt's saying hi to Thomas. Thomas is saying hey back. Sandy said, I bet you're exhausted. I hope you're feeling better. And he says, I am. But that's great that he's doing good. Terry Least, she lives in Cape Girardeau, Missouri, which is Limbaugh's hometown. I know where Cape Girardeau is. My dad's brother lived in Cape Girardeau for a long time, probably 20 over 20 years. So I know exactly where Cape Girardeau is. Oops for the oops, sorry for the caps not yelling. You're okay. You're okay. Amy says, "Can you drive fast?" I can drive fast. I don't know if I'm going to want to break the speed limit to drive that fast, but yeah, I'll drive. I usually drive, and then Rick. Here we go. I like this. I prefer the HAD, and it is free to learn, which it is, AKA Rick's heart attack diet. Absolutely. The heart attack diet is free. He's willing to teach you. Matter of fact, we have the heart attack. We have the heart attack burger. We had the heart attack burger challenge. And I know I didn't make the full heart attack burger, and I made the junior version. uh and I couldn't finish it all. And I think it's the bun. If I had 2 pounds of ground beef, just the beef, the cheese, and the bacon, I can eat it, but the bun filled me up quickly. But I know Aaron did it, and I believe Gary finished it, and he actually went from cooking it from the beginning to the end. The heart attack diet is one of those, or that's a good diet. And Amy's asking Rick, are you going to hack your health? And then Rick says, I'm sure hope so. My goal is I won't be able to go this year, but maybe in the next couple years to go to hack your health. I like to try to do the Tampa meetup in the future if I could, just to, because it's great to go to. And I want to try to visit some other ones. I hope we can all go to the Brazilian steakhouse in Louisville. I have never been to a Brazilian steakhouse. There's one close to me, is in Columbia, Missouri. I will not go to it. I might, well, I might go to it because it's in the summertime, but I won't go to it from August to May because it's right downtown. It's right there on by campus downtown, and it is a nightmare down there. And Jiffy asks, all due respect to everyone, but I am curious why as to why there is never any meetups in the deep south other than Florida, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Georgia. Never gets any. That is a good question. And it's just like Missouri, we hadn't had a meetup here yet. I think a lot of it is I know South Carolina just had a Healing in Humanity, but I believe that was the it was Ribeye Ranger, Jim Ribeye Ranger, and his wife Lynn Tucker, Carnivore, that I think kind of got that one going because they moved from Texas to South Carolina. But other than that, oh look, Uncle Charlie's here. He says, Amy, you did great at that concert. I missed that concert. I may have to see if there was a follow up there. And Kurt says, when is Hacky? I believe, I don't know of this year. I believe it's in November. Not for sure if they changed the date. Uncle Charlie said, I ate a 15-ounce New York strip steak on the cruise. Oh, ooh, ooh. Then Amy says it is November 13th, 14th, and 15th in Tampa. I'm hoping a bunch of us can share a. I can't think of what that is. Lizzie's here. Hi, Lizzie. I'm glad you stopped by today. And Smoothie says that's what Dustin said about the one in India. I don't know what he's talking about. And then Uncle Charlie says, I don't use salt or electric lights. I cut out butter, bacon, and the weight is flying off now. That's what I did. This is day 2 of the lion diet, and I've took out the eggs. I just took out the eggs. I took out the pork rinds. I'm just doing the beef right now in affordable way. And so um I do use some salt. I use seasoning. I drink coffee, but I drink it black. The main thing I'm definitely taking away, but for 30 days, and then I'm going to bring back the eggs at least, and pork and chicken, and then I'm just going to leave out dairy. I might enjoy, since it is in the summer season, I might do a little Kiltz's ice cream again, but I think I'm just going to do a smaller version of it and not a big version of it, and just mix it up and freeze it. And I think I'm just going to do the vanilla, but no sweetener or nothing like that. But right now I am taking out the bacon, and I will introduce the stuffed bacon and stuff back. But right now I'm just, for 30 days, I'm just doing the beef, what I can find on sale, what I can find affordable, what discounts I can get, and beef, and find me a good meat grinder and try brisket burgers again, but make my own brisket burger. And Rick says there never been a meetup in the Miami area. And then Thomas says, especially if I'm going to hack your health. And then Uncle Charlie said a lot of YouTubers endorse Element and get paid for it. Yeah, absolutely. They are sponsored by, especially some of the bigger, some of the bigger channels are, big channels, but also some of the smaller, bigger channels, I call that, if they got 10,000 or more subscribers, have that. If I do, I don't do much of the electrolytes. Now, I did in when I was in Mexico because you needed it because that sun, even though the weather wasn't good, you still needed it. If I do electrolytes, when the summertime, I do one a day. I'll do one a day in the summertime when it's hot, maybe two, but I primarily do the raw and I do the LMNT. I might try the salter one in the future, but right now I'll until and then every now and then I don't do it much, but it's like a treat. I do the lemonade salt. I don't do it very much because they do use maltodextrin in it. So you're at least got a carb and a half or half a carb per stick. So I definitely do that. Lizzie says, I'm in Louisiana and there is someone really close to me in a nearby town. I forgot his name. And then Keto or Amy says, thank you, Uncle Charlie, for the video. Sound isn't great. I'm going to try to clean it up. Well, I'm going to try to watch that video because I I'll have to get the back play of it. Okay, somebody will have to give me the state on this carnivore kip, who it will soon be having stomach stapling surgery, has had two meetups, and he lives down south, but I don't know what state. Alabama, I believe, where he lives. He did have two meetups. He is one that reason why he's having the surgery, which just like if you watch My 600 Pound Life, it is a tool. You still have to make sure you're disciplined on your diet no matter what, even carnivore. And even if you have that stomach surgery, you still have to change. You have to change your mindset. And no matter what, it's just a tool. You just won't eat as much. But if you're still struggling with the carbs, you're still struggling with, you know, eating junk food and going and getting the full fast food and just not burger patties, you got to find out what psychological issues you're having to have that mindset to change, because otherwise if you do have that surgery, yeah, if you don't change that mindset, you will go right back to where you are back day one, because it does stretch out over time. And Uncle Charlie said there's a lot of sugar in element, plus it spikes insulin. That's why I only use the raw. I very seldom use the other. It's just like a treat every now and then, because if you drink the ones with the sweet in it, sweeter ones like the watermelon, the flavor ones, yeah, you will have issues because it has maltodextrin in it. And if you have one, two, three of those every day, you are pretty much defeated yourself. If you just have one every now and then, you're okay. But if you have insulin issues, it's probably not wise to use them. And Uncle Charlie is correct. Said diet soda keeps the weight on, also spikes insulin because of the artificial sweeteners. That's why I mostly stick with the sparkling water. And if I drink 1 to 2 cups of coffee every morning, and every now and then I do iced tea. I unsweeten iced tea, not to sweeten iced tea. Sorry I'm late. I give Sunday my thanks, but glad you're there. Well, thank you. See. Uncle Charlie said, I just eat 1 pound of Wagyu beef and a little butter and fried 6 eggs and an omid and water all day. That's how I started, Uncle Charlie, except for I had 2.5 pounds of ground beef, 5 fried eggs, and a half a pound of bacon. That's how I started. I actually was going to debunk this diet and it debunked me. And now I'm strictening it up, or I'm making it a little more strict and going to the lion diet and eating just strictly beef. But I do have a little bit of coffee and I do use seasoning because I like a little spice now and then. And I use mustard for some flavor. But other than that, as pretty much I'm going to stay with beef for 30 days because I do my best on beef. And Amy says, I do endorse salty and keto chow. I never been paid. I get free products though. Kurt says he uses diamond kosher salt in his water only. I take my Malden sea salt and I'll put it in my water and give it. I like that. I like little salty water, especially ice cold salty water. And Bride's Business says, agree, Kelly. Mindset is everything. No diet, not even carnivore, was enough to heal me before I changed my fundamental relationship with food. Yeah, absolutely. I remember before I did keto, uh when I was on the standard diet, I'd go get your groceries, your chips, your sandwich, your stuff, your bread, your normal stuff. But I always liked the little Debbie's nutty bars. And I always got those. I'm like, I'm gonna eat it. I'm just gonna have one packet a day. I'll end up after an hour, I'll end up having the whole box ate. That's how bad addicting it can be, especially what they put in the foods these days. And now today, I can have a tamale in Mexico and I'm good to go. Like they try to get me, they try to get me to eat a donut and stuff. I'm like, no way, not eating a donut, not doing it. You can have my donuts. I'm not eating it. Yes, that is correct, Uncle Charlie. Dr. Anthony Shafee don't use salt or any electrolytes. And Sandy said there's 33 watching. Uncle Charlie said, none of us, at least me, ain't running on a treadmill for 5 hours. Every company is jumping on the bandwagon and cleaning up on keto and carnivore people. Yeah, I don't exercise. My exercise is what I do here at my on my property when I mow the yard. When I weed eat at work. This is my busy time of the year. I have the Tiger Village stair steppers, building 1 through 6 stair steppers. We have three floors, and I go up there. We go up there Monday through Friday. We dump AC pans. We do work orders. We turn apartments. Um, there's times that we have to lift. We have to trash out apartments. This and pick up trash. I get my walk in, and at least in the wintertime, I'll get at least 6,000 steps in, unless it's a really, really, really slow day. Other than that, I get over 10,000 steps a day, just Monday through Friday at work. And I rather work with God's gym than an actual gym. And if I do a little extra like squats, stretching, stuff like that, I do that throughout the day. You don't have to do much. Like every time I got out of the van, I noticed when I was coming back from, in Texas, our first night when we stopped in Lawton, Oklahoma, I started noticing when I stretched a certain way, I felt better. And I started stretching, I started the squatting, and it felt better. Uncle Charlie says, how old am I? I am 47 years old. I'll be 48 July. That's how old I am. 47 going on 48. And Kurt says, I am mainly active at work. That's where most of mine is. I'm active at work, and I'm more active in the from spring to fall. Winter time, the only time I'm really the busiest is if we are doing snow removal. That's it. And Smoothie says, eat for nutrition, not for pleasure. Fuels my fire. And then Uncle Charlie said, I saw Butter Bob short before listening. Listening, guys, there. No reason to check your ketones. Just trust the process. Everyone is trying to make money on all of us for all this nonsense. That's why I will not, like, I do have a keto mojo, Uncle Charlie. I'm not going to lie. I check it. I'm trusting the process. Like this morning, I checked my ketone. It was lower than it was yesterday afternoon, and I lost weight. And I think it just goes up and down. And my opinion is I do have the keto mojo, but I didn't pay for it. I have an HSA that I put money into. It's a savings account. That's how I bought it. I didn't buy it out of my own pocket. I have this money allotted for this, and I found it where I can use my HSA account, and that way I have it. But yes, absolutely. Best thing to do is just trust the process and go for it. And like if one thing works for you, continue using it, doing it works. But if it stops working, then change up. Like I was doing this for a while, but I was indulging with a lot of cheese as well. And I was putting cream in my coffee every morning. So I had to do a change up, and it was a perfect time to do a change up when I got back. So like tomorrow, June 1st, will be day 3 of the lion diet for me. And like today I had patio steaks, and yeah, it's not a ribeye, and I cooked them where they were rare, and they tasted really good. I had 6 little patio steaks is what they were. I had all 6 of them, but that's all I'm going to have today. I had them around noon. So I'll probably won't eat until I'm hungry again. I feel satiated. I fried them a little bit of tallow. Uncle Charlie said, "Why poke yourself when there's no reason for it? I used to be A1C was 18, now 5. I will never poke myself again. I was poking myself 3 times a day. Fingers were killing me. No more." Well, absolutely. If you don't need to do it, definitely trust the process. That is awesome, Uncle Charlie, because congratulations, because I know that you lost quite a bit of weight. And then Kurt says, haha, peeing on a piece of paper. I am swimming in my clothes. Check. Don't feel great. Check. Let's go buy something to measure my ketones. Not absolutely. There's not really. I mean, I think a lot of times that it's more of a click. When you see these people, yeah, I would like to do that, and I like to see it a deep their ket ketone or keto therapeutic ketosis, but sometimes even I don't think it'd be accurate sometimes to me. And I right now I feel like I my metabolism is higher now, and I guarantee if I check my ketones, they'll probably won't even be a 1. But I feel like hot, like my metabolism. And every time my metabolism is high, I feel like I'm a lot warmer. Uncle Charlie said, Butter Bob said he lost 11 pounds. Not impressed. Not not impressed. Body is made out of skin, water, blood, bones, etc. Just meat, eggs, and build muscles. Sitting on couch. Amy says, I never tested my blood until I became a health coach. Feel like I need to know what foods do what and when to the sugars, especially when coaching diabetics. But other than that, yeah, no need to test. Kurt says, greed Amy. And Uncle Charlie says, I have 1 cup of coffee per day with Snickers coffee creamer, still losing weight. And he also says, no reason to eat more than once a day. When you eat a donut, you will be hungry in 2 hours. Oh, absolutely. I don't I that's one thing I don't miss is donuts. I don't miss them. They were right in front of me and I didn't care to even have one. To me, it was just like, where's if Rick's still here, I was like, I'll be saying, hey, where's the ducks at so I can feed these donuts to them? I think I might try that, Kurt. On after these 30 days, I may just do, eggs after that. Ooh, here we got someone come in. Melissa, Melissa Moran, 3424. I'm from Missouri. How hard would it be with the beef and dairy allergy? I really wanting to start. I did the sardine challenge and felt great. Um, if you can, the thing is, if you have a beef, that'd be one thing. If you look up, talk to, I'm not good with this because I never had an allergy like dairy. If you have a dairy allergy, but if you have allergy with beef, if you don't have problem with pork or chicken or seafood, that would be a good way to do it. Especially if you do chicken, you can get lard and you can do Rick's heart attack chicken recipe. He does a good, fry your chicken and get that that good fat. because some of us do eat a variety of meat, because beef is higher. But if you can look one of the coaches, like if you join ask that question to, if you can get up, at 5 in the morning. Kilts has a live stream. Kilts on his YouTube channel, Kills Health. And if you go there, ask that same question, they can probably help you better. Um, but yeah, if you don't have allergies with pork, pork would be a good option. Chicken, fish. I know people with alpha gal, that's what they have to do when they can't eat the beef, which it is a good question. Why are you allergic to beef? And Uncle Charlie says beef, eggs, steak gets absorbed in the small intestine and never makes it to your colon. And here you go. And Kurt's mentioned try to eliminating the source for your beef. If you say if you're putting a seasoning on it, it could be your seasoning. Try without it. Try with just salt. If beef, maybe try grass fed, grass finished if you can find it. Kurt's mentioned here lamb and goat are good options as well. And then, he this is a good one. Remember, what works for me may not work for you. So, well, the best thing is you got to find what works for you. The best, like if sardines, you did sardine challenge and you feel great, that's great. Try, do some eggs, try some different varieties, find what works for you. And if it doesn't bother you, um, then stick with that. And then Uncle Charlie says chicken from Costco is in plastic bags under the heat lamp. No good. Clothes of sugar. Absolutely. And then plus the heat and plastic. When plastic gets room temperature, it is not good anyway. Even bottled water. I never understood why did we go to plastic instead of staying with glass. Um, And then Uncle Charlie said, that's why you don't need to eat more than once a day. We need to rest our bellies. Yeah, some of us, it depends on some of us are good for once a day. Some of us can eat twice a day. For me, it depends. Now, tomorrow when I get back to work, it may be a different story. I'm back to maybe twice a day, but whatever I eat, I may go with once a day. But I know some people has to go may have to eat. Depends on I think it just depends on our metabolism, because some of us may have to have 3 meals a day and be fine. Some of us may have to only eat 2 meals a day and fine. Then the rest of us can only eat 1 meal a day to have that deal. But I think sometimes changing up is also is a good way to keep it going. And yes, plastic glass is how they cull the herd silently. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Wow. And then for men, Charlie, for some of us women with hormone issues, we do better when we eat twice a day. Yeah, it's basically it varies for me. Like, if I'm working really really hard, I may eat 3 times a day, but sometimes I most of the time I eat twice a day. It just depends on how I feel. But with it just depends on, especially for women, hormones. It may be better for somebody to eat twice a day. And then, as she says, Nisha and Kim did a video on this. So yeah, it varies. So All right. Wow. It is past 5:12. I know Amy's getting ready to come on at 6, and I am looking forward to it. I did not, I was meant to share the link and I forgot all about it. I do apologize. I do want to have an open panel. So maybe on my next live, I will do that. We may have an open panel. And Kurt, you have yourself a great night. I'm actually getting ready to close out and get ready to relax and get ready to watch Amy's live because it's coming up at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Make sure everybody goes over to Rocking Coach Amy so we can see what she is going to have on her live tonight. And be sure to check out Barb's after that. So, everybody, like I say in my videos, let's be kind, be positive, have a good attitude, and encourage and support one another. Y'all have a great day, and I will see you on the next one. And my next live will be June 14th. 3 p.m. Central, 4 p.m. Eastern. I won't have one next Sunday because I go back on call for emergency work, and I want to make sure that I am if I do this live, I'm don't want to be stuck in the middle, have to cut it off early to go to work. So I'm back on June 14th, and I know that we have a pacemaker pizza challenge coming up. I hadn't decided if I want to, because I'm on this Lions diet. I may join in, but I may not. I may just have my daughter try it out. Who knows? She'll be back by then. And Jerry, thank you for posting Amy's channel up in the next live. So see y'all later.